Hi everyone, this is Ajay Shah. So today in this class we are going to solve an actual question of UPSC from the syllabus of ethics. So let us see how I'm going to solve this question because I have seen that students feel very uncomfortable in the paper of ethics. They feel that they lack content to write the answer in ethics. So I've picked this question and let us see how step by step I'm going to solve this question. I'm going to write this question. So the question is from UPSC 2014 of 150 words and the marks is we have 10 marks. So let us read the question. The question says, all human beings aspire for happiness. Do you agree? What does happiness mean to you? Explain with examples. So now let us now break this question into some steps so that we can solve this question. So basically all the questions, it's not only about ethics. Every question in UPSC has certain steps. The very first step is that you need to identify the syllabus. Why identification of syllabus is important? Because once you identify the syllabus, you know that from which part of your notebook, from which part of your book you have to bring the content to sprinkle in your particular answer. So let us identify the syllabus. So this question is not from the core areas like emotional intelligence or attitude or corporate governance, international ethics, civil services, etc. But this question is from general ethics. Now, what is the meaning of general ethics? When we say general ethics, it simply means the first bit of your syllabus. That is, you must have seen the syllabus where we have to study ethics, value system, integrity, and all. So from there, this question is there from general ethics. Now, the next step is to understand the demand of the question. So, whenever you get a question, you need to understand the demand of the question. It is not important how much you know, but you have to write only those things which have been asked in the question. When I check the paper of the students, I have seen that many times the students write a lot of things, they have very good knowledge base, but they do not write as per the demand of the question. So you need to understand what precisely is the demand of the question. And once you understand the demand of the question, your half of the problem is solved because now you know that in which direction you have to move your pen. So let us understand the demand of this question. So basically this question, let us read the question. The question says all human beings aspire for happiness. That's okay. Do you agree? So this becomes the first demand of my question where I have to substantiate that all human beings aspire for what? That is happiness. So basically happiness is theme of the question and the first part of the question asks you to substantiate that all human beings aspire for happiness and you have to agree or you have to disagree. This is the first part of the question. The second part says, what does happiness mean to you? All right. So in the first part, it was about all human beings. In the second part, it's about you and not about other human beings. Let us read the third sentence. The third sentence says, explain with examples. So this is basically not any part of the question. You have to put examples where in the first part and in the second part. That means you have to prove that all human beings aspire for happiness with examples, and then you have to write what is your meaning of happiness, and again here also you have to put examples. So I hope that the demand of the question is clear. Once the demand of the question is clear, we need to make framework, and then in the last part we have to execute the framework. So let us see the framework of this question. So this is a well-known fact that whenever we have to write any answer of any question, there are certain steps, there is a certain set of framework. So what is that certain set of framework? We are going to start with what? We are going to start with introduction. So there has to be introduction, then there has to be body, and then there has to be conclusion. All right. Now conclusion is not important in all the questions. You have to decide that you have to write conclusion or not on the basis of demand of the question and also on the basis of word limit. So in this particular question, conclusion is not important, but I have picked this conclusion also, and we will see later on what I'm going to do with the conclusion. Now introduction is there, body is there, and conclusion is there. So what is the theme of the question? Our theme is happiness, because in both the parts of our body, that is what is the meaning of happiness for you or what is the meaning of happiness for all human beings, the theme is happiness. So in the introduction we have to write the definition of happiness or a short introduction about happiness. Now we can define happiness in very simple terms. There is no need to bring any technical definition or any core definition. Just write the definition of happiness in very simple terms. Like for me, happiness mean mental well-being. For me, happiness mean freedom from stress. For me, happiness means a stage when I am content with all the belongings with me. So in very simple words, you can write the definition of happiness, and just also try to put one example. In the second part, body. Now I told you that in this question, basically we have two demands, and that is why we are going to divide the body into two parts. We will have two paragraphs in the body. In the first paragraph, we will write what is the meaning of happiness for all, or we have to substantiate here that all human beings aspire for happiness or not. Now, when you will show this question to any layman who is not aware about the syllabus of ethics, he will say that I can write this question very easily. But you, as a student of ethics, you need to remember one thing, that you are writing the paper of ethics. And since you are writing the paper of ethics, the answer should look like the answer of ethics. What is the meaning of answer should look like the answer of ethics? It means that in your answer, there has to be terms of ethics, technical terms of ethics, moral philosophers, and all. So when we will write this part, what is that whether all human beings aspire for happiness or not, we will bring here different schools of ethics. We will bring here different scholars, philosophers, basically moral scholars and moral philosophers. So whenever I see this word at happiness, and if I am aware about the syllabus of ethics, yeah, if I have covered the syllabus in a comprehensive manner, I know that the very first scholar that should come into my mind is Socrates, because Socrates was the first person who linked happiness and ethics and knowledge. According to Socrates, knowledge is the source of happiness, and when a man has knowledge, he is basically happy. And the purpose of a man's life is to be happy. So Socrates was the first person who defined the purpose of life as happiness. Now, apart from this, we can bring some more moral philosophers. So let us bring Buddha also here. Why Buddha? Because according to Buddha, desire is the root cause of all suffering and pain, sorrow, and happiness can be achieved only by controlling this desire, by defeating this desire. So we have brought Buddha also. Let us bring some another school. So we can bring here hedonism. All right, hedonism, that means Bentham. Why Bentham? Because Bentham also gave a definition, a description of happiness. So according to Bentham, happiness is nothing but happiness is all about what? Pleasure. And this can be measured in terms of quantity. So according to Bentham, pleasure is happiness, happiness is pleasure, and basically Bentham was interested in materialistic pleasure, materialistic happiness. So since we have a word limit of 150 words, I guess 3 scholars are sufficient here. Now we will move to our second part. And in this body, by these 3 thinkers, we will conclude that yes, according to Socrates, Buddha, and Bentham, all human beings aspire for happiness. So my first part is over. Now let us come to the second part, that is second paragraph of our body. So here we have to define happiness, meaning of happiness for you. So here also we can define what is my understanding of happiness. So since we have already mentioned Socrates, Buddha, hedonism here, so here we can mention another scholar. We can mention here Aristotle. All right. Why Aristotle? Because Aristotle defined happiness in terms of balancing life. That is called eudaimonia. All right. Apart from Aristotle, you can put any other school of thought. For example, you can write here about theory of Purushartha, that by following theory of Purushartha, one can gain happiness. Or even in this part, you can write your own definition of ethics, your own definition of happiness. That's also okay. So in this, we are going to cover the second part of our answer also. And at last, we will conclude. What we are going to conclude? We are going to conclude that yes, all human beings aspire for happiness. And this is my definition for happiness. That's all. In by this, you can conclude your answer. And I told you that example should be sprinkled in this introduction also, in this body also, in this body also, and try to sprinkle example in this conclusion also. All right, so in this way, we are going to write this answer. So let us see our model answer. This is our model answer, what we have written. Let us read this once and try to understand our answer. So I am going to read the answer for you, and I am going to underline only those terms which has to be underlined in the examination. So let us read it. So it says, happiness can be defined as a feeling of joy. It's a very simple definition. Just underline feeling of joy. Also underline happiness, because happiness is theme of our answer. It's an state of mind where man is free from any stress and enjoy mental peace. You can underline here stress and here peace. So this is our introduction, and in the introduction part we have written a very simple definition of happiness. We have defined happiness in very simple terms, in layman terms, which can be comprehended by anyone, right? Let us go to our second body. Fine, this is our body, where we have to substantiate that all human beings aspire for happiness. Let us read it. Different schools of ethics define happiness in different terms. Underline this word, different schools of ethics, so that you can show to the examiner that you have written this term, different schools of ethics. So different schools of ethics define happiness in different terms. According to Socrates, purpose of a man's life is to be happy, and knowledge is the source of happiness. Just underline this word, knowledge is the source of happiness. For example, an enlightened man draws happiness from knowledge. So here you have all written the example also, and you have also explained what is the meaning of happiness for Socrates. Now come to Buddha. Buddha says desire is root cause of all suffering, and freedom from desires leads to happiness. Just underline the word desire. All right, desire. Now third, a school of hedonism represented by Bentham defines happiness in terms of materialistic pleasure. For example, a wealthy man is a happy man. Just underline here hedonism, Bentham, and materialistic pleasure. So our body is over, means first part of body is over, where we have defined description of happiness by different scholars. Now I'll come to the paragraph number third. So in the paragraph number third, what I have written, from above discussion, it appears that the parameter of happiness is different for different people, but all human beings aspire for happiness. Underline this, all human beings aspire for happiness, because this is the amount of the question. For me, happiness is following the path of eudaimonia, that is path between the extremes. Underline the word eudaimonia. For me, happiness lies in practicing noble philosophy of stoicism, that is living a balanced life. For example, earning moderate wealth give me happiness. So here in this part, in this body, you have explained what is the meaning of happiness for you, and in the starting point, that is initial part, you also concluded that all human beings aspire for happiness. Why this sentence is important? This sentence is important because there has to be link between the paragraph. So in the previous paragraph and this particular paragraph, this sentence is basically the link. So this should be the standard model answer, because whenever your examiner reads the answer, it should not appear that there is some kind of jump in the answer writing where there is no linkage among the paragraphs. So there has to be linkage among the paragraphs. Now come to the conclusion. So conclusion says all human beings aspire for happiness, and different people have different paths to reach pursuit of happiness. For Gandhi, happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. So this complete our answer. Now up to this paragraph, it has approx 150 words, and up to this conclusion it has approx 200 words. So since the word limit is 150 words, so we have to stop here only. There is no need to write conclusion. So you can just bring some changes if you have to be in the word limit of 150 words. For example, in the first paragraph, you can remove one scholar. Let us remove Bentham and put conclusion, or you can completely just eliminate this conclusion. Conclusion is not required in this answer, because this answer is not about argument and all. Fine. So that's all. I hope that you people have understood how to write a model answer. So thank you very much. Thank you.